Okay, cool. So let's begin today's session. So before I begin, I have already introduced myself to you all when the session I gave the demo session. So I want you all to introduce yourselves to me so I can understand what level of experience do you hold and what is your expertise in one identity and other tools as well. So one by one, you can introduce yourself. So, yeah. Mohan, you can start. Just a brief introduction about what you do and what's your expertise.
Yeah, hi everyone. Myself Mohan, and I have total 10 years of experience in IT. So, I'm currently working as a one identity DevOps. So, I have 6 years in one identity operations. So, I'm just looking to do implementation certification. So, except this, I have knowledge on server installation, networking, and firewall configuration and Cisco router configuration switches, and I've worked on all IT things. And now I'm jumped in cybersecurity, and now I'm just willing to do the implementation certification.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Mohan.
Thank you.
Yep. Bharat, you can.
Yeah, hi Abhinav. So Abhinav, I have a total 7 years of experience in IT. So out of which 4 is regarding the identity manager. So since past 4 years, I'm working as a support analyst for IDEM, generally the L1 and partially L2 support. So I'm aware of basic concepts. Now I'm looking to understand more of development part, engineering tasks, right? So I'm looking for that and to grow in that uh, area.
Okay, okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Madhukar.
Yeah, hi Abhinav. Myself Madhukar, and I'm basically from Shimoga. So I have 4 years of experience as a system engineer, which is like a technical support engineer. So I'm trying to move into cyber security. So that's why specifically I'm trying to concentrate on IAM. So simultaneously I will going through the like some of the concepts in one entity, and also I'm trying to learn implementation. That's why I joined here. So I hope this will help me out to go through into the one entity. That's it.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Thanks, Madhukar. Yep. So, Mohan, you can. Sorry, Vadla. So, just a brief introduction about yourself. You are not audible. Praveen, you are not audible. Is it only for me or any one of you cannot hear?
No, Praveen is not audible. We can't able
Yeah,
to hear you.
Praveen, if you are still not audible, you can just drop a note on the chat about yourself. Okay. So still you're not audible, I guess. Okay, so I think Praveen is still trying to work out on his audio issues. Meanwhile, we'll start this session. Okay, so as I mentioned that like from now on, like we'll be beginning the course. Okay, Praveen has joined. All right. So, so today in this today's session, so what we'll be covering is that we'll be going through the architecture of one identity. What are the different kind of tools that we have in one identity? What are their uses? Okay, what is the use of one identity? Why do we use one identity? What is the benefit of using one identity over other IAM tools? And also we'll learn some of the structures and like what is the table structures that we use in one identity schema and the other things. Okay, and then from tomorrow onwards I'll get you all the lab. Okay, so you can get the details of the lab. So basically, let me tell you about that also. So that would be an AWS instance, okay, Amazon Web Service. So all of you will be given a separate instance to each one of you. And AWS instance, so as you all are aware that it is a, it is a pay per hour basis lab. Okay, so I'll recommend that you use your lab only for that 2 hours. Okay, so 15-20 minutes is not an issue if you use 15 to 20 minutes more of that lab. But I'll recommend that as soon as you complete the lab, you please close that instance. Okay, so first we'll start the instance, and at the end of the lab, like 2 hours or 1 hour, whatever we are doing, so please close the lab. And after we have completed all the sessions, like 20 hours, then also you will all get 10 more hours for you to practice and if you have any doubts. Okay, so let us begin this. I'll share my screen. Meanwhile, Sunaina, could you please check with Praveen? I think he has not joined back. He's having some issues.
All right, let me check.
Thanks. So let us begin. Okay. So let's first understand what is one identity. Okay, what is one identity manager? Why do we use it? What is the use? So one identity manager is a Quest software that helps organizations establish identity-centric security strategy. Okay, with a unique, so one identity provides a lot of solutions. It's not only the one identity manager, but it also provides privileged access security also. Okay, it also provides identity governance, AT centered IAM, and SAS solution. So there are multiple things that it provides. However, the things that we'll be dealing with is related to one identity manager. But one identity provides privileged access management as well. So other privileged access management tools like CyberArk or Ping. So these also, so same thing, one identity also provides. Okay, password management, session management, and all those things. Now, identity governance and administration. So what does this does is secure access for your hybrid enterprise, manage a diverse user population, and streamline day-to-day identity management tasks and processes. So what do we mean by identity and access management? Identity means people. People could be living person or it could be a robotic also. Okay, so nowadays we are using a lot of things like chatbots, we are using service accounts, we are using non-human accounts. So those are also considered as
Can you able to hear me?
yeah, Praveen.
I'm sorry, due to some technical issue, my headphones were not connected properly. So I'm sorry for the delay. Yep.
Okay, no worries. So you can just give your introduction, Praveen. So
I thank you so much. I'm sorry for the delay. So myself, Praveen, I'm from Bangalore. I have total 17 years of experience as an IT manager. So I worked with multiple sectors, like almost 8 companies. I worked as an IT manager almost 10 years. Currently, I'm working the Rippling as IT implementation manager. So I have experienced, into the multiple lines like firewalls and implementation, planning, designing, and IAM and MDM and all those things. But I did not really work on the one identity and the CyberArk in the real-time environment. So that's the reason I approached to this platform to get into hands-on, to be understand more clearly, getting into the project before that. So very soon, within a couple of months, I'm getting the one identity manager project. So I would like to work on this thing. That's the reason I approached to this, and I
okay.
hope go for the best. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thanks, Praveen.
Thank you.
So I was talking about the term identity and access management. So identity is something that relates to a person, not exactly the living person. It could be a normal account like a chatbot, or it could be a service account, or it could be another non-human account. But that is considered as identity. Anything that has a record in the table or in the database which has a particular kind of account details. Okay, so that is known as identity. Access is something that whatever the access that particular identity has throughout the life cycle or throughout the or we can see entire time when the identity is there in the organization. So all the accesses, so that is called as access. So the management of both these things, like the identities and their access, is known as identity and access management. Okay. So the motto of this is that the right person at the right time should have the right access. Okay. So definitely that is something that we'll be working on. So we'll be dealing on identities, we'll be dealing on their accesses and how we manage them. The other things that are provided is, as I mentioned, privileged access management. So that is also a different tool by one identity that provides this particular PAM also. Okay. So that is used to control and monitor privileged accesses, strengthen security and simplify compliance. So that means that it is used as the same way that we use other PAM tools like CyberArk, or we use the Okta, or we use any other tool. Okay, Ping. So for same thing, the one identity manager or the one identity theme can also do that. Okay, so that the operations that it can perform is like it can do password management, it can do session management, it can do multi SSO things. So a lot of things can be dealt with privileged access management through one identity. Now, as I mentioned that we will be dealing with the only one identity manager that provides identity and access management, IAM, IGA. Okay, so we'll be dealing with that only. So now if we look at the architecture of one identity manager, so there are four things. One is one identity manager web server, one is application server, one is database server, and the last one is the job server. So whenever we are dealing with one identity, so we should be very, we should have the knowledge of these four servers, that what is their use, what are they used for, what kind of things they need. Okay, so all these things we should be very much aware of. Okay, so first let's come with this one identity manager web server. So the use of this web server is that any end user like you, me, or anyone who will be coming to my identity will be dealing with the portal. So there is one identity manager web portal, like any other web portal. Like if we talk about any uh, what like Facebook or WhatsApp, so they all have a UI, right, where the end user goes and do something. So similarly, we have the one identity manager web server. Okay, so the use of this is that you can apply for a lot of products, you can request access, you can raise request for any particular application, for any particular access, for any particular hardware request. You can request your password reset, you can request for Active Directory account, you can request for particular Azure Active Directory. Okay, so a lot of things you can do. So this is for the end users where they interact with the one identity web server, and they will request anything they want to do. Okay, so web server is the first thing. Now the second thing is the application server. So the use of this application server is very wide. Okay, so this thing we'll be discussing in the later sessions when we'll start the lab. Okay, because this is something that I cannot explain from here. So this is something that we'll discuss when we start working on the labs, that how it is used. Okay, the third one is the database server. So as the name suggests, we whatever we like end user is doing, or wherever the data is being saved, that is called database server. Database server, so one identity has the provision where you can use multiple different kind of databases. You can integrate with SQL, you can integrate with Oracle, you can integrate with any other cloud based database, like you can use Cassandra or whatever. Okay, so you can use a multiple different kind of database servers with one identity, so the integration is possible. So wherever the database, so there are two things. First thing is that one identity has its own unique kind of database, so the schema, the tables, and everything. So whenever you are installing the one identity, okay, in your server, so automatically it will download all those tables, all those schemas, all those things over there. Okay, so that is where we store all the data. Now the fourth and the most important server is the job server. So job server is something that is used to interact or to synchronize or to provision things between different target systems. Okay, target system could be anything. It could be AD, it could be Azure, it could be Exchange, it could be Outlook, it could be a mail server, it could be SAP. Okay, so there could be 100 of different target systems. So to interact with those target systems, we have something called job server. Okay, so people who are already working on one identity, they might be working on any particular environment like dev environment or stage environment. So for there, you might have seen that there are three different servers. Okay, one server would be for the web server, where the all the web applications and everything would be hosted, web services would be hosted. One would be the database server, where the SQL components or the Oracle components would be stored, and all the data is stored in that server. And the third server would be job server, where all the job services related thing and all the job services are installed. Now, job server, like web server and database server for any particular environment. Like if I talk about dev environment, so it might be possible that your organization is using the same server and they have installed all these three things in the safe server, like web server, database server, and job server. Now, as we go higher to the environments, like if we talk about stage or UAT, there you might see that we have one web server, we have one database server, dedicated server, and job server, we have kept two job servers. Why two job servers? Because obviously the reality or the real time data would be more in the higher environments. So that is why job servers we keep more, so that the jobs and everything processes uniquely and correctly. Similarly, in the main database or in the production database, you might be seeing that there are three different job servers that have been installed, or four different job servers that have been installed. The reason for this is that to bifurcate different jobs into different job services. Okay, so suppose what we are doing is that we have a target system for AD and Azure AD. Okay, and we know that it's a very long, like the client has a lot of people, like 50,000, 60,000. So obviously those are the amounts of accounts that it would handle. Okay, so we know that this could be a huge problem, that if we move all the things, all the things to a same server, what would happen, that if that server got into hold or there is some issue, what will happen, that all the jobs, like for the SAP accounts also, for the Outlook, for the Exchange, they will also get into frozen mode. So we don't want to do that. So that is why we define different job services for different interactions to different target systems. That doesn't mean that for each target system we require a job server. The bifurcation is done only in the way that if there is a load on particular server, the services or the jobs get triggered to the other server. So any questions, any queries on this?
Hi, this, I mean, the web server and application server, database server, job server, this all will be installed in one particular single server, or then how it will be like? I
No.
would like to say it's a physical server then.
Yeah, so that is what I was saying, that if we talk about like what organizations do, see, if we want to save money, obviously they will keep all these servers in a single server, in a single VDI. Okay, so the dev, if we talk about the dev environment, they will host all these three things or four things in the same VDI or in the same server. But as we go higher, we want that this thing should have a different server. So if in UAT, you might be seeing that there are three different servers. One is hosting web services, one is hosting database services, and one is hosting job services. And if you talk about the prod, there you will see a dedicated server for web services, a dedicated server for database, and there might be 1, 2, 3, 4 or multiple job services available that are there in the multiple job servers or multiple servers. So that is what we do in the higher environments.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So as you can see that this arrow is a two-way arrow, right? So what it means that it will fetch the data. Okay. So now let's talk about a very important thing over here. The two terms that we commonly use in identity and access management. That is synchronization and provisioning. Okay. So what is synchronization and provisioning? Synchronization is that when we sync the data from the target database to our one identity manager database. Okay, so that means suppose we have this SAP application, there is a SAP target database. Okay, from this database we'll interact via this job service, and whatever the records and whatever the things are there, we'll sync into our one identity manager database. That is why it is a two-way arrow. Provisioning means that whatever the data is there in one identity, that would be pushed to the target system. So synchronization is that we will pull the data from the target system, okay, and provisioning is that we will push the data from our database, one identity manager database, to the target system. Okay, that is why all these are two ways, because what will happen, that suppose a person is onboarded to an organization. Okay, So based on the dates, like the entry date and exit date, so he will be onboarded into the manager. Once he is onboarded, what will happen, that different birthright roles will be there. Birthright roles would be like that he should receive this kind of Active Directory account, he should have this Outlook account, he should have this Exchange account. So for all these, what will happen, that one identity manager database will push this person's data to different applications. Okay, like it would put, if there is a SAP account that has to be created, the one identity manager will push this person's data into the SAP database. If there is an Exchange account that has to be created, the one identity manager database will push the data to the Exchange server. Now, once that account is created in the Exchange server, once that account is created in the SAP system, they will again send that data back to one identity manager that this is the new account. This is the new account that has been created for the user. So the way I'm saying is that suppose we send the data to Exchange. Now what Exchange will do, Exchange will create that person record into the Exchange database, and it will create a new email ID for that person. So if you join an organization, you obviously get a new email ID, right? That is created on the different database. Once that ID is created, it comes back to the identity and access manager database, and it is provided to the end user. Okay, so this is how this particular flow works. Now coming to the tools that we use in one identity manager. So what one identity manager has done is that if you have worked on any other identity and access manager tool, so they have different kind of thing, look and feel, like they will be having a single place where you can do everything. Okay, but what one identity has done, it has bifurcated different tasks in different tools. Okay, so different tools are responsible for doing different kind of operations in one identity. So we'll start with the first tool, that is the manager tool. So manager tool is something that is mostly used by the operations team, testing team, and sometimes by the developer also. Okay, but mostly it will be used by the ops team and the testing team. So the use of this manager tool is that whatever you create, okay, like whatever the data is there in one identity manager data, like the person records, the organizations, the departments, the cost centers, profit centers, different mail templates, different target systems like ADS, AADS, custom databases. Okay, so all those things you can view any hierarchical form in this manager tool. Okay, so manager is the main administrator tool setting up information about employees and their identities. It displays and maintains all data required for administration of employees, their user accounts, permissions, and company specific roles. Company resources. You can use manager to define custom IT policies, set up IT shop, set up special approval processes for authorizing request and checking compliance, set up attestation procedures, attestation IT shop, all these things. So we'll be discussing on all these topics in a brief when we start our lab tomorrow. So I think the first tool that we'll pick up is likely to be manager, where we'll see that what all things are there in manager, what is the use of manager tool. So we'll see all those things in the lab. Okay, so just for now, we have everything that is inside the one identity manager database. You can view it here in the hierarchical view. Okay, like you can see the person record, that person, that, like suppose I selected my name Abhinav. So if I selected my employee over there, what will happen, it will show me all the things like who is my manager, which department I am tagged to, what are the active requests that I have raised, what is my Active Directory account, what is my Azure account, what is my SAP account, all the details, my manager name. If I am the manager of anyone, then the roles, all the application roles, all the things that I am responsible for. So all those things I can see over there. Then IT shop is something that when you open the web portal that I told you earlier, that we have the web service web portal. So in that web portal, we have IT shop. IT shop means that a person can go to web portal and request a particular access or particular role from there. Okay, so that is an IT shop. Attestations, obviously, we give it a different name in different tools. So if you're using any other tool, it is called certifications, access certifications, access renewals. So in One Identity, we called it as attestation. So we'll be seeing the attestations also. So that is what you can do from the manager tool. The second tool is web portal. Okay. So as I mentioned that we have this web service. So web portal is something that is used to design the web front end. Okay. So whatever the end user is interacting with, that everything is designed via the web portal. Okay. So web portal is something that where the end user will see the things, like he'll log into the web portal, he'll be able to see his data, then he can change employee master data, he can change his own password, edit, enter employee master data, search, request, cancel or renew products in IT shop, delegate user specific roles, edit assigned approvals, attestation cases. So all these things the end user can interact with. Now this web portal is something that the end user sees. Now the other tool is web designer. The use of this web designer is to design everything that you see over in the web portal. Okay. So web designer is basically used by the developers, the front end developers, who will create new things like new forms, new web forms, new web pages in the web portal. Okay. So this is the designer and this is the portal. So this portal is used by the end user. This designer is used by the developers who will be designing the front end things. Now there is one new thing that is added in this. The new thing is that the web designer has been decommissioned by One Identity from version 9 onwards. So if you are using version 8, 8.1, 8.2, then you will be seeing this web designer. However, in version 9 and above, you will be seeing the web designer, but we do have the other option of the Angular portal now. Okay. So the reason behind this is that web designer is a very difficult tool. Difficult tool means that suppose you you have worked for 10 years in IT. Okay. And you think you have been working as a front end developer and you have designed the multiple websites and everything. But if you come to web designer and you think that your experience will come into effect, that is not going to happen, because web designer is a very different kind of tool. It uses its own logic, it has its own containers, it has its own database settings, it has everything different, completely different. So if you want to learn web designer, you'll take around 15 to 20 days to learn web designer itself. So that is the reason, because of this kind of thing, that web designer is not something that anyone can work on. They introduced something called Angular web developer. So what you can do is that from the Angular, you can just, the way you have been using or designing the web pages and web forms. So you can create the Angular using the Angular. You can create your own web pages. You can create your own web forms and work on it. So this is for the ease, like they did this so that anyone who has the knowledge on Angular and web development can simply come and develop the pages or web forms or whatever they want to develop. Okay. Any questions on this?
Are we going to touch Angular designer also here?
No, so Angular development is something we are not going to do, because Angular development will require a lot of things. For example, it will require Git, it will require access to Git. So all the accesses are provided over there, and we also will need Visual Studio. We'll also need the Angular knowledge to understand that how it is worked. So that is why it is a different thing. But I'll see that if I can get a chance, I'll show you the new. So what has happened that apart from these changes in the Angular web development, there is something in the manager. So when you are creating the web forms, so there is something in the web in the manager also from where you can create forms. So
Okay.
those creation of forms has also changed in the new version. So that I'll show you that how it is different from the old version and how you can create forms via manager. So that I'm going to. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So now the next tool is the designer tool. Designer is one of the most important tools in for one identity development. Okay, so designer tool is mainly used by the developers only. You won't see ops team, you won't see testing team, or you won't see any other person touching this tool because this tool is majorly for the developers. So designer tool is the tool where you can do a lot of things. You can create a new process, you can create new process automation, you can create new scripts, you can create new mail templates, you can define password policies, you can define a lot of you can set up the history database over here, you can set up the different authentication methods over here, you can create a system user over here. So a lot of things are there that you can do via the designer tool. The designer is the main tool for configuring the One Identity Manager. The program offers an overview of the entire One Identity Manager data. It enables the configuration of global system settings, for example, language and configuration parameters, customizing the user interface for various administration tools, the rights structure for different administrative tasks, set up with designer. Another important task is the definition of workflows for technically illustrating the administration procedures in the company. Identity manager and system configuration. The range of functions and the operating methods of editors are tailored to differing configuration requirements. So process orchestration, scripts, config parameters. So when I'll be providing you this document today at the end of this session, so you can just go with like there are links over here. So whatever is highlighted in blue, these are all links. Okay. So you can just go through this document and go through these links. This will give you a little more information about what we have discussed. So process orchestration, scripts, config parameters. As I told you, process orchestration is something where we create new processes. New processes means that there are few things that are already created inside one identity that doesn't require anything like uh, JML process, joiner, mover, lever, creation of new person record, creation of new AD account. So these things are something that are already like the process was already created for that, password reset and everything. So you don't need to do these level of changes in anywhere. Okay, but suppose you have to create a new workflow, you have to create something unique, okay, that is only relevant to your organization, then obviously you will have to create a new process. Okay, suppose you want to automate something, you want to automate a particular workflow, you want to automate a process, so for that you will require to create a new process. Inside processes there are multiple ways to handle processes. You can handle it via normal insert update operations, you can do it via different level of file transfer protocol or normal HTTP protocol. Okay, but if you require some different kind of calculations, some different kind of stuff, you want to do a few things and then check a few things, you want to put some data, push some data, then obviously you will require scripts. Config parameters is something that is used as a global variable. So whenever we are using the One Identity Manager, there is something called config parameter. Config parameters is something that is used as global variables. Global variables means that you can define variables over here that can be used in any tool. Any tool means that you can use it in designer, you can use it in web designer. Okay, in designer also you can use it in process, scripts, generating conditions, you can use it in mail template, you can use it in value templates, okay, value definitions. So you can use it anywhere. So that is why we use config parameter. So all these things will be discussing when we go through the designer tool, and we'll see. So we'll be creating a new process under process orchestration, we'll be creating a new script, and we'll be creating a new config parameter as well. So we'll see how these things work. Now the next tool that comes into the play is Sync Editor. This is also a very important tool. Okay, so Sync Editor is something, synchronization editor is that is used for the what to say, that it is used to interact with different target systems. So when you will open the Sync Editor tool, you will be able to see a lot of out of the box already available connectors that are available in OneIdentity. Okay, so as you go higher to the higher versions, like if I talk about 8, 8.1, 8.2, so there we have connectors, out of the box connectors like ADS, we have Exchange, we have LDAP connector, we have this SAP connector, and we have a lot of out of the box connectors. But if you go to version 9, you will see that we have a lot more new connectors that are available. Okay, we have the PowerShell connector, we have the Azure AD connector, we have the Exchange connector, okay, we have the Outlook connector. So there are a lot of new out of the box connectors provided by OneIdentity. So Sync Editor tool is the one shot where you can see all the connectors all together, like all the different target systems and how they are connected to OneIdentity. So you can see it over there. Now the question is that if OneIdentity has already provided us the connectors, out of the box connectors, then why do we use custom connectors? So I think what OneIdentity has provided, or any other tool that is available in the market, so they can only provide you connectors, out of the box connectors for some very much used target systems. Like AD is obviously used by every organization, Azure AD is used by almost every organization, ServiceNow, okay, SAP, Workday. So all these connectors are used by most of the companies. So they provide these out of the box connectors. But now there could be a condition that there are multiple different applications that that are specific to your organization only, like LMS, okay, Success Factors, or Salesforce. So for all these, obviously they will not provide, because there could be thousands of different target system databases. So obviously OneIdentity or any other tool cannot provide you all these 1,000 connector profiles. So only they provide you the connector profiles that are very much used by most of the organizations, or that are commonly used by most of the organizations. Okay, so that is something that we do via the UNS. So we'll discuss that unified namespace later in the course. Okay, but now for now, Sync Editor is used to manage all the connectors between the target system. So you use OneIdentity Manager to connect different target systems to Synchronization Editor. Use this tool to configure data synchronization for any target system and specify which target data is mapped to OneIdentity Manager database. You also define the object properties mapping and the synchronization sequence as a workflow. Okay, so this is the use of Sync Editor. Any questions on this?
So, so we are gonna connect, or else we like you said that it is where we can find the connectors, which is being connected to the targeted system, right? So if you want to connect to a target system, we use synchronization editor, Sync Editor, for a new platform. For example, if I want to connect to SharePoint, or if I want to connect to SAP, then I'll use the Sync Editor and I'll create new one. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. If we are doing installation, like new scratch installation, so after installation we'll use Sync Editor to bind all the target systems.
That is correct. So if you have the credentials for the target systems, you can
Okay.
create the connectors, new connectors over there. Like for AD, Azure AD, you can create new connectors and you can start the synchronization, provisioning, and automation between those connectors.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
we can do in upcoming labs, right? So these kind of things for the connect
Yeah.
synchronization.
So what we'll be covering is that we'll be seeing that for the Active Directory. So we'll be having an Active Directory target database. We'll be connecting to that Active Directory database, and we'll see that how synchronization, provisioning, and automation works between them. And also we'll be seeing a CSV connector. So in that case, what we'll do is we'll create a new CSV file, and with the CSV connector, we'll see that how once we load that CSV connector, so how the data flows from that CSV file to the person table in the One Identity Manager. So that is something that we are going to cover.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. So the next tool that comes into play is Object Browser. Okay. So Object Browser is something that is used to view the object layer of the One Identity Manager. Object layer means that you can query inside the database, you can see the schema, you can see the like you can query inside different tables, query inside different views. Okay, so using the SQL or Oracle queries, you can you can search the data, you can insert or update the data. So all the operations of SQL, you can do it inside the Object Browser. So this is basically the table view or the data view, you can say, that we use Object Browser for. This tool is used to query into the database. One can view the data stored in different tables and views, and can insert, update, or delete data from this tool. This is designed in such a way that any changes made will affect all the other tables as well related to that object. So what does this mean? That it will affect all the related objects. That suppose there is a person object, okay, and that person object has different, you know, the person object has different accounts. It could have a Active Directory account, it could have a SAP account, it could have a different other accounts. So if you change the exit date of this person to today, okay, so that means that person is offboarded. So that means that all the accounts linked to this person should also get decommissioned, right? So if you offboard a person into the person table, if you set the exit date to today, so that person will be offboarded. Now, once the person is offboarded, all the data that is created in the other tables like ADS account table or SAP user table or the person has ESET table, so those will also be affected because of this single change that you have done. Okay, because it is linked to several things, so the changes will be made to all those other tables also. So that is what it is saying, that this is designed in such a way that any change made will affect all the other tables as well related to that object.
So if you want to make any changes in particular areas, then do we need to do it individually or do we need to do only in the object, the database?
See, if you want to do any changes, you can do it. Like you can change the name of the person, you can change the dates, or you can change the manager of the person. So you can do those things via the object browser, or you can do it via the manager tool also.
Okay, if something if by mistakenly if we do, then we can revoke back that thing and will automatically put it into the place same, or then we need to manually push everything.
See, there is one thing, like whenever you are doing the changes in the One Identity Manager, if you have already configured the history database, okay, and history database is already working, so what will happen? The old values, like suppose so let's talk about the last name of a person. Okay, last name of the person has changed 2 or 3 times. Okay, now that name that was used earlier for that person can be seen in the history database. So if you will click on that last name and you will click on the change history, so you will be able to see that who changed that record, what was the original value, what is the new value. So that thing you can change. See, So suppose if you are working on any updation or any particular thing, so first of all, it is recommended that you take a backup. Okay. Once you have taken the backup, you can do the changes. After you do the changes and you see that because of your change, something has gone wrong and you want to revoke that changes. So with the help of history database, you can see what was the last values and you can just bring it to the original position.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So the next tool is the job queue. Okay, job queue info. So this tool is basically used by the operations team. So job queue means that anything that you perform on one identity, like creation of a new account, deletion of a new account, or updation of any account. So anything that you do, okay, a new sync project has been executed, a new provisioning job has been executed, or a new Salesforce account is getting created, any particular thing you are doing in One Identity Manager will create a job in the One Identity Manager job queue. So suppose I created a new person. So creation of new person might create a new job in the job queue showing that a person record is going to be inserted. Now, as I showed you that person record, once it is inserted, might be possible that there are multiple triggers that would create a AD account for that person. It will create an exchange account for that person. So you will see those extra 3-4 jobs coming as well for that same person, that these are the 3-4 jobs that are also executed as part of this. Okay, so job queue info is used to see all those jobs, like there is a sync that has been executed. Okay, so you'll be able to see that this is the sync that it has been executed. What is its current state? Current state means that is it still running, it is frozen, it is completed, or it has finished. Okay, so all these things you can see in the job queue. Now job queue monitoring is done by the ops team. Okay, ops team will see what all jobs are coming in the job queue, and if they are working fine, they are not frozen. If there are multiple frozen jobs, then that has to be handled. If there is any important job that has got frozen, then they have to monitor that frozen job. They'll have to see that what is the error that is coming, what is the issue that is coming, and then they have to report it to the L3 or L2 team. Okay, so that is the use of job queue, where you can see the jobs that are running at the moment in the One Identity Manager database. Job queue info helps you to check the current status of the services running in a One Identity Manager network. It displays in a detailed and comprehensive manner the tasks in the job queue and the different One Identity Manager service requests on the servers. The tool provides on-the-fly status information and makes fast error detection possible. So that is the use of the job queue.
So if any changes is happening because when you're doing the onboarding any application or onboarding the new person, so first of all it will go and sit into the job queue, right? So whether if it
Yes,
is not completed or if it is any issue or synchronization issue, then we can see into the job queue itself, right?
correct. That's right.
Okay, so from there, then what could be the action? Do we need to go back and resync again,
So,
or then what exactly
so
steps we need to be followed?
yeah. So there could be 3 to 4 cases in that place. Like the first case is a positive case where the sync has executed and it has finished successfully. It will automatically move to process history. So that is something that you don't need to do anything about. Now, now the second case is that it has been running from a long time. Okay, like it has been running from 4 to 5 hours, and it is still in the running state. So in that case, if it is a synchronization, you will have to go to the sync editor tool that we have already discussed, and you'll have to see that what is the thing that is still working, how many records are still it is fetching, how many records it has processed, and how many records are still in progress. So suppose if there are 50,000 records and it has taken 4 hours and 5 hours, so this makes sense because obviously the number of records are higher. But you can see that it is making some um it is making some improvement, or it is going through it, like it is working as expected. So you don't need to do anything, it is working.